ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of the Sports Report. We're shorthanded tonight. Scott's under the weather, but Gary has seen his way through. So between Gary and I, we're going to straighten things out.
You bet.
By gosh, by golly.
You got it.
And we're going to start right off with the Red Sox because we've decided they're the ones that need the most help.
Yeah.
Gary, I think first of all, and I've got things out of order here, so I'll be thumbing through stuff here for a minute or two, but I think we need to start with Jon Lester and Andrew Miller.
Right.
What
Pitching
in the
counts.
devil is going on there? In today's Globe, Nick Cafaro wrote, Sox may not get Miller.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
And they're talking now of a 4-year deal up to $50 million.
Yeah, all closer money. Right. Premium on pitching. And, everybody's looking at what Kansas City did last year and the Giants with that shutdown bullpen in the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning. You have 3 guys ready to roll out. And it's all changed. And Andrew Miller's timing couldn't have been better.
Oh, listen, and Andrew's a very, very sharp young man. And there'll be very little, if any, hometown discount.
Right.
He full well realizes that this is his payday.
Yeah.
And he's going to get it.
And he's a big union guy.
And he's a big union guy.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, this is interesting. I've not seen this in print before. The Yankees, Dodgers, and Astros have been fully involved with Miller. I didn't know the Astros were in this.
Yeah, the Astros apparently are getting ready to throw some money around. They've got a lot of dough and really a very low payroll at this point, and they need to make a splash.
Well, the players after the games would go out with tin cups on the street corners. That's how underpaid they were.
Yeah.
But, I think they were the lowest paid team in baseball.
I think they were too.
Yeah.
A lot of young players, though.
A lot of young players.
They could add some money.
But, realistically, if you were the general manager of the Astros, would you really go after Miller, who's not even a closer? But he's the guy that gets you to the 9th. I would think they've got slots all over the place that they need to fill.
Yeah.
I'd sure as heck I would be looking at a guy, like Mookie Betts or something like that, and see if I could trade with the Red Sox for him.
Well, I think they have a lot of good young talent there. So they're probably looking to add some veterans. And again, going back to the model, what seems to be the current model of lock up the 7th, 8th, and 9th, and Miller is as good as it gets.
And Lincecum, is it Lincecum or Lincecum?
Lincecum.
Lincecum. I always get screwed up on that.
Yeah.
He is being paid at crazy money.
18, 19, something like
Yeah.
that.
Oh, I guess more than that even. I think it's graduated up to around 23 here as we get into the contract. And he's a 7th, 8th, and 9th inning guy.
He is now,
Yeah.
And at one point he was a
lights out
premier
as a
starter, and
sure.
one of the, when he was 24, 25, it was, I thought he was going to be the next Pedro. Right?
Exactly.
So
yeah, exactly. Now, so I think maybe Cafaro has the story right this time.
yeah,
And it's see you later.
I think
Miller.
it's see you later for Miller, but I think he's going to end up with the Yankees.
Do you really?
I do. He's perfect for them.
Oh, mother of all creatures, large and small.
Yeah.
The Yankees are going to open up. There's no end to where the bidding could go now.
Right. Yeah.
Miller must be sitting at home laughing.
He's about on his way to the bank.
The banks are on their way to him.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, okay. So we lose Miller.
We lose Miller.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. That's it, folks. Forget about it. You're not going to see him.
Sorry. Down 1.
Yep. Down 1. Now we'll talk to Dr. Doom here about Jon Lester.
I feel good about Jon Lester.
Do you really?
I do. I think he's going to come back.
The Yankees haven't entered into this yet.
Not yet. The Dodgers have of late.
Yep.
So that's always a wrinkle because they got plenty of money to throw
Well,
around.
did you
They got all that money.
happen-
They're not paying Hanley Ramirez anymore.
Yeah, did you happen to read the article? And it was the day before yesterday, I think. And it was that San Francisco came to see Leicester.
Right.
Oh, Leicester went out there to see them. Leicester went out to see them.
yeah.
And I guess they were loaded for bear and old friends and Bruce Bochy, the manager out there. I guess they wine dined,
Yeah.
loved the heck out of the lad, and promised him the Golden Gate Bridge if he'd come out there.
And it's got to be an interesting option for him.
Well, yeah, because San Francisco wins.
San Francisco wins.
Yeah,
it's
and they
the
go to-
National League.
Yeah,
Which, if you're a pitcher,
you gotta love
you
that.
gotta love the National League.
Yeah. And you know, there's a nice lifestyle on the San Francisco side.
Yeah.
There's a horrible lifestyle on the Oakland side.
Yeah.
Landing at the Oakland airport, that's a long story, but I got a flight to Oakland because I couldn't afford the flight to San Francisco. It was double.
Really?
And I mean, for what, 30 miles?
Over the bridge.
Yeah. So I landed at Oakland, and we got there's a bus that runs between the Oakland airport and, there's a couple of places in San Francisco it runs to. More than a couple, but anyway. I can tell you something. That was a scary bus ride.
Oakland. Yeah.
Oh,
tough
going
place.
through the war zone.
Tough place.
Yeah. A tough place. Getting over to San Francisco, and all of a sudden, it's like somebody
It's
turned the
nice.
lights on.
Yeah. Similar to Boston in a lot of ways, right?
In a
San
lot of ways.
Francisco?
In a
Yeah,
lot of
on the
ways.
water,
Yeah.
Culturally.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
It's there's a lot of universities out there, and I think that
of high tech.
aside from buying a home, which costs a lot of money out there,
Yeah.
I think he's going to have a very, very decent lifestyle if he chooses to go there.
I think he could handle the home.
Yeah. You think so?
25 a year. Yeah.
What they're going to be paying him, I think you may have something there.
Yeah.
So, you really think though that there's a chance for Leicester, because the Yankees,
I do.
The Yankees now, they've got to look at where they are,
Right.
and they've got to be saying to themselves, "We can't have another year like this."
But they've got a lot of. I think the Yankees are another team, which is why I think they're going to sign Miller, that is going to take this 7th, 8th, and 9th inning. You look at their staff, they've got a lot of older pitchers. And if you make the assumption that these guys are now 5 and 6 inning guys, then you look to build the bullpen. You bring in Andrew Miller, you re-sign the closer there, Robertson, and they've got. It's blank. I'm blanking now on the young kid they got in the bullpen
but
already.
he's another flamethrower too.
They got a flamethrower
Yeah,
already.
yeah.
Yeah.
I found my notes here where I was looking for. Now, allegedly, Leicester has 6 years, 138 offer from the Cubs.
Yeah.
So that means the Red Sox are either going to have to match that, or if Leicester feels strongly about the Cubs, they're going to have to beat it. So we're now looking at what? 6 years, 150 mil? 144.
Yeah.
6
24
years?
a year.
All right, 24 a year. Do you think that John Henry will do that?
I think he will, because when you look at some of the other options around, be it Cole Hamels or some of the other starters that are available, you're picking up a lot of the same obligations. Certainly if you get Cole Hamels, you're trading a handful of your best prospects to basically get this close to the same deal. You're extending it maybe another year or two. But John Lester's homegrown. He's never really missed an inning because of arm issues.
Yep.
He's a horse. If there's somebody you're willing to make that investment in, I think it's John Lester.
I agree with you from a very selfish reason. Well, I'll read to you the selfish reason.
Okay.
Free agents last year.
Yeah.
Steve Swisher. hit 208, 8 home runs, 42 runs batted in, and he's off on the disabled list. I think every bone in his body fell apart.
Right.
He signed a 4-year, was it a $50 or a $60 million contract?
Overpaid.
Can you believe paying Steve Swisher that kind of money?
Here's Nick. Right, Nick? Anyway, move on.
Yes. Nick, what are you talking about here?
Swisher.
Oh, yeah. Well, now Joe Mauer
Joe Mauer.
never
yeah.
made free agent, but they gave him a barn burner of a contract.
Right.
Last year, 277,
Very
4
average.
home runs, 55 runs batted in.
And not the defensive player he used to be.
Gets better.
Yeah.
Do you remember a fellow we had here by the name of Saltalamacchia?
Yes, I do.
Yes,
We were all
Jared.
disappointed when he left, actually.
Well, I wasn't. He racked up 220,
220.
11 home runs, and 44 ribbies. You think that's what they were really looking for down there?
For the
They
Marlins,
were
yeah.
a little disappointed in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Never a good defensive catcher.
Never.
On
No.
top of
no.
that, yeah.
They worked with him a lot, and he threw better at the end of his career with the Red Sox.
Yeah.
But he was never. And you know, when the pitchers would call for Ross because they didn't like the way Salty called the game,
Yeah.
you know, these are real good tip-off there, too.
Right, right.
Well, I hate to bring this one up, but I will. Ellsbury.
Yeah.
271, 16 home runs, 70 runs batted in. Now,
Stayed reasonably healthy, right?
we had him in Boston, and he turned in those numbers, and we competed for or won the pennant. We'd say, you know what, he stole 51 bases, and he played wonderful center field, you know. But the Yankees didn't get that out of him.
No.
And you know,
And he can't throw.
how about Beltran? 233, 15 home runs, 49 runs batted in. McCann, the catcher, 232. He did hit 23 home runs and knocked in 75 runs, but 232.
Yeah.
Teixeira, he's
On the back
rounding
end.
into form
Yeah.
now, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
216,
216.
22 home runs, 62 ribbies. Sabathia, 3 and 4, 5.28, and then his arm fell off, or
Right.
his leg fell off, or something.
He's in trouble.
But my favorite of all is Andrus, Elvis Andrus, the catcher for Texas Rangers. Now, they signed him to an absolutely obscene contract. It was unbelievable, the amount of money they're paying him. 263, 2 home runs, 41 RBIs.
Yeah.
And he was up 619 times. 2 home runs.
2 home runs. Elvis didn't leave the building very often. Yeah.
Man alive.
Yeah.
And then...
And you know, there's rumors that the Yankees may be interested in Andrus because they're looking for a
Well,
shortstop.
they're desperate, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they can't believe he was that bad.
And he's not that bad, I think.
Well, he can't be that bad. Otherwise, somebody will shoot him. I mean.
Yeah.
You look at Andrus a couple of years before that, and he was hitting like 15 or 16 home runs a year, it
He
seems
was a
to me.
dynamic player when they were in the
he was.
playoffs. And,
Yes.
Yeah. A real
And-
table setter, hitting it near the top
I
of the
don't-
order.
boy,
I think
I'll
he hit
tell you.
second.
Now, wow. Now, so I look at a couple of other free agents here. Oh, Hanley Ramirez,
Ah, yeah.
283, not bad.
Not bad.
13 home runs, 71 RBIs. That, if you set up a mathematical equation and you put those numbers in, they don't equal $22 million
No,
a
they
year.
don't. Yeah.
You know, listen, you can find a guy that plays a poor shortstop, which he is certainly not a
Defensively,
graceful shortstop
not at
by
all.
any stretch of the imagination, nor a willing one anymore either. And you can find somebody that'll hit 280 and hit 13 home runs.
Yeah.
I mean, gee,
We probably have that guy.
Yeah, we probably
already.
do. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, and Hanley Ramirez, I just don't understand the Red
No.
Sox signing him for that kind
and
of
How
money.
about Sandoval? Well, we're going to get that power, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, 279, 16 home runs, 73 runs batted in. Does that really, does that add up to...
And a flair
what
for
was
the
about
dramatic.
95 million over 4 or 5?
You know-
5, I think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I feel better about Sandoval than I do Ramirez. I just don't understand $22 million for Hanley Ramirez when it didn't appear that we were really bidding against anyone.
No.
Who were we bidding against? There was talk that the Mariners were talking to him, but you think the Mariners are going to pay him $22 million?
You know, I think the Yankees might have been interested in him.
Maybe.
Because the Death Valley shortstop is Death Valley for them right now. There's
Right.
nothing in sight, and they're even talking about re-signing Stephen Drew. That's
Yeah,
how
I
things are
heard
going
that.
down there.
That's how things are going, yeah.
But you know, you look at these two guys, and you look at those numbers, and you say, "Holy cow!"
$40 million to pay the two of them.
So
yeah.
you know, and you look at these flopperoos. I mean, Nelson Cruz had a marvelous year.
Yes.
Yeah, a really marvelous year. And he signed a four-year deal.
44, right? Was it?
No,
that was
it
Markakis.
It was, yeah.
44.
No, he averaged out to 14 mil.
Right.
Less
Yeah,
than the
57
yeah,
over
the
4, yeah.
15.3 that he was offered. He turned that down, but he got 4 years out of it. And it was rough.
And how old is he? Isn't he 37?
Oh, boy, I think he was 35 last year, so he's probably 36, or
Yeah.
about 37. Well, you know, some of these kids from the Carabino, their ages are...
Yeah.
the birth certificates get lost.
Yeah. It's in the DNA.
Who knows how old
Yeah.
they are? But, and I forget the first name, LaRoche.
Adam LaRoche, the first
Adam
baseman.
LaRoche, yeah.
Nationals,
Now,
yeah.
someone they made a good signing for him. He went to Chicago, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Went to the White Sox.
White
yeah.
Sox. He batted .259 last year, 26 home runs,
26 homers,
92
yeah.
RBIs.
Yeah.
And he's pretty good around first base.
Yes, he is.
And I could not understand for the life of me why the Red Sox traded him like 10 days after they got him.
Yeah.
I mean, what the heck
Never.
did he do?
Never had a shot here.
No, never.
No.
I mean, and the guy is a decent ball player.
Yeah.
I
He's
think
been a
Chicago.
consistent home run hitter.
I think Chicago's made a good move there.
I like that one
Yeah.
as well for them.
But basically, what I'm raving about here is I don't like going. Sometimes these free agents scare the hell out of me.
Yeah, I think that there's a likelihood we may be sitting here in 2 or 3 years talking about Hanley Ramirez saying we're paying $22 million for a guy hitting .230 and playing 80 games a year.
Yeah. Well, you know, and Ramirez has been approached, and he said, "Oh yeah, he's okay with playing left field."
Yeah. Are we okay with that though? I mean,
Well-
he can get away with it in Fenway. I think that won't be too much of
Until he
Jim
gets-
Rice used to play
Yeah,
in Fenway,
when
right?
he gets the contract, the ink is dry on the contract. We'll see how all right he is with
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Remember he was bitched off because they moved him from short over to third?
Right.
And he went through a major league tantrum for what, 3 years over that?
Yeah.
Holy, and now going to put him out in left field? Well, it'll be fun to watch
Yeah.
it all unfold. Now, wouldn't it be nice if someone came in from the Fountain of Youth and sprinkled a little fairy dust on him, and he went back to his 320 and 24 home runs, and that would be fantastic.
It's possible.
It is possible, especially with the wall, the Fenway Park wall.
Right.
I think he's.
Friendly
I think he'd be a better
friendly Fenway.
player here.
Yeah, quite
But-
possibly.
But
And Sandoval, you know, he's only 28, right? So
28 or 29, yeah.
yeah, maybe
you know,
29 next
you
year.
know.
So
But that statistic doesn't bother me. It's the 245
Yeah.
pounds. Wait till
yeah.
he gets to the north end
North
of
End is
Boston
going to be
every
an
night.
issue. Yeah. No question.
Oh, gosh. You know, Cafaro, yeah, okay. Well, let me I wrote something else down here. Let me just finish up on that. So I say here, Yankees, ? Dodgers, ? for John Lester.
Right.
Will it go to 6 years, 150 mil? That appears where it's headed. What is the impact on the Red Sox if they do and if they don't sign Lester?
Well, I think the biggest impact is going to be they're going to have to unload a lot of this young talent to get top of the rotation
Yeah.
pitchers. There's just not that many around. As soon as the first chip falls, which is going to be Lester, it's going to break loose on the
It
starting
is.
pitching.
It's going to break
And
loose.
There's a lot of people looking. There are a lot of pitchers available,
Yep.
so they're going to have options. But outside of signing another free agent, be it Shields or even Scherzer, for crying out loud, if they really wanted to go for it, then
Yeah, I know what you're telling me, and you're absolutely right. What I'm more scared of losing the young players, but the second thing is that I think we're going to end up overpaying.
Yeah.
Because if we lose Lester, listen, human nature being what it is, there's got to be a panic set in.
right.
And they've got to say, oh my heavens, Johnny Boy is gone. Who's next on the list? Cole Hamels. Well, you know what the Phillies are going to say to them? They're not stupid. They're going to say, gee, the Red Sox, we kind of got them where we want them now.
Yeah.
So, Red Sox, here it comes.
You know, it's an interesting dilemma because you're right, and as soon as the chips start to fall, the price of making these trades is going to go way up. They're just going to hold their feet to the fire.
And the Cincinnati Reds got 3 kids that
Right.
conceivably could
Well,
be
that's
on
the interesting thing is if you look at next year's free agents, there is going to be a ton of top-end pitchers available in next year's free agent pool. So you got to be careful, I think, locking up not mediocre to good pitching at premium dollars when there's going to be premium pitching available at premium dollars next offseason.
I looked at this list pretty carefully. You know, there's a couple of guys on here you could really talk me into. I think Hamels is going to be every bit as expensive when it's all said and done as Lester. Because not only are we going to have to pay him Lester money, but guess what? We're going to have to separate ourselves from 3 of our prospects.
Yeah, we got and good ones.
Jeff Smadajala.
Yes, Smadja,
I always have trouble.
I don't want him
with
because I just can't say his name.
Yeah, that's right. Remy would have some trouble with that. You know, he's pitched well in the National League, but
He pitched well for Oakland after they got him.
Yep.
Yeah.
But
He'll be a
Scherzer,
free agent next year.
yeah, Scherzer is a free agent, and Lester money
To your
again.
point, you're going to have to overpay him, I think.
Johnny Cueto,
Free agent next year.
free agent next year, but they may move him now. But you are really going to pay for him.
Yeah. Now, he might be worth it.
He
He
may
is
be
a
worth it,
top of
yes.
the rotation
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah, and David Price. Now, David Price presents a real dilemma. Did you see that spec on him that showed his fastball, his average fastball dropped 1 mile an hour the last 3 years?
Yes, I have
From
seen that. yeah.
from 94 to 93 to 92 to 91. I think was 91 this year.
Yeah.
91 and some change. That's not a good sign.
No.
Now-
I'm not a David Price guy.
No, no. I'd love to have him for one big game.
Yeah.
But you're right. The Red Sox have knocked him around from time to time. And now you could argue that drop in the average fastball speed was because he's becoming a pitcher, and he wants a fastball with a tail on it.
Yeah.
He wants to move it around. Control is more important now. He's growing up. He's not a thrower.
Right.
Yeah, well, I'm not buying that.
Yeah. I think he's going to end up with the Dodgers.
Yeah, I'm not buying that at 21 or 22 mil a year.
No.
Then you get Chris Sale, and the only reason he's in there because everybody thinks that he's just the top young pitcher in the American League.
He
Everybody
is.
would love to pry him out of Chicago, and they're just not going to do it.
They're not going to let him go.
They're not going to do it. I would have to give them Kenmore Square in order to get
Yeah.
boy,
I think they'll end up re-signing him.
Jordan Zimmerman I know very little about, to be
Love
honest
him.
with you. Love him?
top of the rotation guy, free agent next year.
See, there's so many of them that are breaking next year.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of good young pitching out there. The game has changed in the
Now
last 5 years.
we have Big Game Shields next.
Yeah, not a big fan of his personally.
And he's 33.
33, you're going to end
And-
up paying him $20 million.
And if he were a used car, you'd say, looks good, but there's a lot of miles on
A lot
that
of miles,
car.
yeah.
Yeah. Now, here's a guy that I really do like, and that's Doug Fister. That used to be up with Detroit,
Yeah.
and they sent him down to Washington. Well, I tell you, he's got breaking stuff that is just so mean.
Yeah. He's available, I think.
Yeah, he is. Washington has said they probably won't be able to re-sign him when he comes up next year. Again, another
one for next year, yeah.
So this might be the chance to move in. But again, they're not going to give us Doug Fister for, a couple of has-beens or the rights to Ryan Levanway.
Right.
Poor Ryan. I always felt there's a spot for him in the majors as a backup catcher.
they let him go.
But they let him go.
They let him
Yeah,
go. Yeah, we'll see.
He lost his stroke. He had some power.
When he first
lost
came
it.
up, yeah. It looked like there was a
Something
spot
happened.
for him here. Yeah.
Now you get your boy Matt Latos.
I like that guy.
Yeah. And
He's young, 26, right?
and Mike Leake.
Yeah.
Another.
I
another
like
kid.
Latos
Yeah.
over.
Got
Got hurt last year for the first time.
He'll be 27 on December 9th. Leake is 27. Now this guy here, he can be a free agent after.
Both of them are, I
Wisconsin,
think. Yeah.
You got Iwakuma. Iwakuma.
Iwakuma.
Iwakuma. Okay.
Yeah, out in Seattle.
Now,
Seattle?
yeah, he's out in Seattle. Now, of course, Nick puts.
There's been rumors of a Cespedes trade
Yes, there
involving
has
him.
been, and
Yeah.
because they're looking for a right fielder out there.
Yes.
They're building a team.
They are.
Yeah, and it could be that he's in the third year of the contract with a bargain price of $7 million.
That is a bargain these
Yeah.
days, amazingly enough.
Someone's going to have to overpay to get him
Yeah.
at that price. Now, next in the pecking order, we're going downhill now. Scott Kazmir.
Scott Kazmir, yeah.
Do you remember Winston Churchill said about Russia that it was a mystery wrapped in an enigma?
Yes.
Yeah. Scott Kazmir brings to mind
Fits
that
that category,
saying.
yeah.
I mean, all the ability in the world.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got some great breaking stuff, and holy cow, but
Well, he had the big arm trouble right after he left Tampa
he
Bay.
did.
And he was out of the game for a couple
and then,
of years.
then didn't he have some back trouble
Yeah.
or something else? And
I don't think he pitched for
expensive.
probably 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
And then he came back.
Yeah.
And he came back well. But
Yes, he did, but
I don't see him pitching in Fenway.
he's he's not a low mileage used
No.
car either. Irvin Santana
Head
is
case.
looking for 3 years at $45 million.
Yeah.
You think you ought to keep looking
I
someplace
think
else?
he should. Great arm. As they say, $1 million arm, 10-cent head.
Yep. Justin Masterson, and we beat the heck out of him last time around. That he's got a live arm and he's
Yeah.
been injured. He's been, but they weren't arm or shoulder injuries; they were other injuries.
Right.
Which makes you say to yourself, is he that serious about keeping his core in the kind of shape that it needs to be in to be? Because let's face
Yeah, it
it,
makes
I
you
mean, you
wonder.
pitch with your legs.
Yeah,
I mean, some people
absolutely.
can understand that,
Yeah.
but you do. And
Absolutely.
all you had to
Legs,
do was
hips.
you only had to watch Tom Seaver pitch.
Yeah.
And you had,
Or Clemens.
oh,
Same
is
thing.
that what
Yeah.
they mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Brett Anderson, free agent.
Yeah.
Brendan McCarthy.
Yeah.
Now we're getting really down to broken.
People like
arms
Brendan
and,
McCarthy. I don't really get it, but
Jason Hamill. We're
no,
really
we're in
really.
the- yeah.
We're down here now in,
In the
the
fourth
bargain
and fifth
basement.
starters, right?
Yeah.
Fourth and fifth starter types.
Well,
we have those guys.
Yeah.
We need
yeah.
the top
And
of the
we got him in
rotation.
the minors.
And we got him in the
Renato
minors.
can do that.
Workman.
Yeah, I like Workman. Always
Yeah.
have. And Rick Porcello. And
And rumors
finally,
of a trade for him, right?
Jake Peavy.
Jake Peavy. Yeah.
Jake.
Jake will
they
stay
say,
in the National
they say
League.
that Jake is probably not going to come back to Boston.
No, he should. If I were advising him, I would say stay in the National League for sure.
I think he might have burned a bridge or two
Yeah.
when he was here. So now,
Rick Porcello, though, of Detroit,
but Detroit's not going to
He's
do
a
us
free
any,
agent
They're
next
not going
year,
to do
too.
us any favors.
right? But they're supposedly have some interest in Cespedes potentially as well.
Yeah. Boy, I hope somebody takes Cespedes off our hands. I really do. We need to get into that. But here we are, starting pitchers. And I cut this out of the paper. Right-handed pitcher, Clay Buchholz. And then we traded Lester, traded Lackey, traded Peavy, and we're left with De La Rosa, Workman, Alan Webster, Joe Kelly, and we got rid of Felix Dubron.
Right.
So,
Buchholz and Kelly
Buchholz
fit into the rotation. I like
yes,
Kelly.
okay, I like Kelly a lot.
Yeah.
And he's an excellent fielder too. He's a
Yeah.
good athlete.
Yes, he is.
But Buchholz he looks like he's maybe held together by Legos or something. I don't know. They're always breaking or
yeah.
his
We
back.
need to have 6 starters.
Yeah. Well said.
Right.
Well said.
We need to.
In fact, you better have 6 starters, if not
Probably
7.
need 7 or 8.
Yeah.
Actually.
Yeah. Now, so for depth, well, first of all, let's just tackle Ruby De La Rosa.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, this year he regressed because I think Alan Webster passed him on the
I think you're
on
probably
the
right.
rating ladder
As a starter.
Yeah. And De La Rosa, he can throw a changeup sometimes, but whatever that other breaking ball is of his, I haven't figured it out yet.
Yeah.
He can't control it.
Right.
Always in the bloody dirt.
I think he's made for the bullpen. You can
know
get by
what?
with 2 pitches.
You know what? You're absolutely right. Fastball, changeup.
Right.
We have a fellow out there, Uehara, that's made a living of doing that.
You teach him to throw
You
a
got Brandon
splitter.
Workman. I think you need to throw last year out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even though some of his numbers weren't that bad, his win-loss record was atrocious.
He's a trade candidate, though.
I think you're right. But, coming off a 1-9 record, was it?
People like to buy low, though, right? They're going to look at him and
I don't want
say,
to sell him that low because he's got a good arm.
yeah,
Yeah.
I like the kid.
And then we've got Matt Barnes, who's got an excellent arm. I'm not sure Matty knows a lot about pitching yet. He can
Right.
throw.
Yeah.
You got Edwin Escobar, who's a mystery. We know he pitched very well, but I haven't seen him.
Right.
We got Anthony Renato, who I like a lot.
Yeah.
We got Stephen Wright, who
Journeyman.
Yeah, but you know what? They had to change his knuckleball last year because the knuckleball that he was throwing was not only very, very hard for the hitters to hit, the catchers couldn't catch it. It moved so
Too much.
much. Yeah. And so they changed his grip on it and they slowed it down. But I think that Stephen Wright could be late in the career knuckleball starter like J.A. Dickey.
Huh.
Yeah, I really do. I've watched him down there, and I'm not ready to give up on him yet. Henry Owens, Brian Johnson.
Like Henry Owens.
Eduardo
Henry
Rodriguez.
Owens. And that last
Ed
name.
Rodriguez.
This is the guy we got from Miller.
And Brian Johnson's a left-hander.
Yeah.
9-1 up to AA. We have another kid up there by the name of Couch that either went 9-1 or 10-1 or something like that. Now he can't break 90, but he's got pinpoint control, so who knows what he'll do.
Yeah.
But
That kid, Eduardo Rodriguez, I've been doing some research on him. A lot of scouts love that kid. He's the guy we got for Andrew Miller at the deadline.
Yeah. So maybe we'll
And
salvage
left-handed
something
starter.
out of that.
Yeah, a lot of people think he is a major leaguer in the making.
Well, in the bargain bin, we attended Junichi Tazawa today.
Yeah, it's good. Daniel Nava?
2.62 earned run average over the last 3 years for Tozawa.
Yeah, pretty impressive.
Yeah. They figure it'll cost about $2 million. And
bargain.
they figure Nava will probably cost around 1.9. He batted 270 overall last year.
After
but he
a
had a
terrible
terrible
start.
start.
Terrible
in
start,
spring
yeah.
training. Well, he was hurt. He was out for a couple of weeks.
Yep.
And he never got into the amount of games he needed and got the at-bats. So when he came up, it was awful.
Right.
After they sent him
Then he got
down,
it
he
going.
came back up and he hit, I believe, 310. And that's what he's capable of doing.
Yep.
I just got to figure out.
I think he's a
Place to
trade
play.
candidate too.
Yeah, and I think
they're going to have to move some outfielders, like 2 or 3 of them.
they said that originally, and now, if you believe Cafaro, which I tend to believe, I think he gets. Well, I'm sure they feed him some stuff.
Sure.
That wants to go in the paper, but now it looks as though they changed their mind a little bit on Nava and say, he can play the outfield and he can play first base. Both.
Yeah,
He's a
he can.
switch hitter. Maybe we keep him. I don't know. So anyway,
They have too many players right now, though.
yeah.
I mean, they need to move position players,
Absolutely do.
bundle them together.
Yep. And you've got, well, strange that you should say that, but there's all of our pitches. We just more or less talked about them all. But the
Yeah.
bullpen.
Oh, yeah.
Britton was really mad about being sent down to Pawtucket, so he stunk all year. They brought him up in the fall. He pitched well again.
Yeah,
Lane did the job.
he did when he was
Yeah.
here. He sure did.
He's like 30 years old, and he's a left-hander.
He's a left-hander, though, and
journeyman.
we need a
But
left-hander.
the thing with Lane is, I think a couple times around the league, they might catch up with that motion of his.
Yeah, could be.
We got Wilson that throws hard, but really doesn't do much else. Badenhop is a valuable piece, and they better
Yep.
sign him. He throws ground balls. Uehara, Tozawa, they're ours.
Yeah, that-
Mujica, we still have under contract.
yeah, a little bit of a disappointment last year.
He was, but the second half of the year, he turned it around.
Yeah, and he's
He
under
pitched-
contract,
pitched
right?
Better. Let's
Yeah.
put it that way, yeah. First half of
And
the year,
I was
struggled.
excited about him coming in last year. I thought he was a good pitcher, and he struggled.
He had good numbers over there.
Maybe it's the change in
Maybe
leagues.
it is. Maybe it is. Hembry, we got in some trade. I think it may have been the PV deal.
Okay.
And well thought of, throws the ball hard, but there's something missing there. It's probably an off-speed pitch. Breslow, they overworked him last year,
Yeah.
the year before last, the pennant-winning year.
Yeah.
I mean, they had him out there constantly, and he arrived in spring training with a tired shoulder. So they let him rest it. They coasted him, only gave him a few innings in spring training. Then they tried to baby him, and it just didn't work.
Right.
Now, is he worth another try again? Well, not at $5.5 million. He's not worth another try. But if he wants to sign for $1 million,
Yeah, I haven't heard too much. I mean, he is out there.
Yep.
So,
obviously not being overwhelmed by offers either,
Right,
because let's
right.
face it, he did not pitch well last year.
yeah. But the pitching, the dike hasn't broken on the pitching yet. So,
Yeah. So, anyway, I've criticized some of our pitches. I'll save the best for last. Juan Nieves, our pitching coach.
yeah.
Besides, write things left-handed on graph paper and spit tobacco. What the hell does he do?
It's unclear, Bill. It's,
Now, maybe in the dead of the night, he's instructing these guys, and he's really the glue that holds it all together.
maybe
don't
you changed that
know.
knuckleball you were talking about.
They did that down in Pawtucket. By the way, I have a Pawtucket story here that bothers me. The Red Sox are going to buy the Possums.
I heard that the other day, and I don't know too much about it.
I wish I thought this was a good thing. This guy
Yeah,
right
I
here,
know-
Ben Mondo, was a great guy.
Yeah.
And he owned
Legendary.
the Red Sox. Right, legendary, absolutely. I mean, he was absolutely beloved in his own time.
Sure.
And he loved the fans. And
It showed.
yeah. And he passed away, and they've been kind of limping along. Not limping along, but they've been doing all right. I mean, 2 out of 3 years they won the Governor's Cup. I mean, heck, that's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah.
And it's a well-run franchise. It's clean. They've fixed the ballpark up. It's a nice place to take the family, and it's not expensive. Mm-hmm. I can
Easy to
just
get to.
see some beady-eyed little monster that works in the bookkeeping department at Fenway Park saying, well, that's a profit center, you know.
Yeah.
And they're not pulling their weight.
Prices
now,
are
they need
going
to
up.
go up on the prices. You got to bring them up to where the market is.
Need a new concession deal.
Yep. And
Yeah.
not only that, but we should be charging $5 for parking.
I was just going to say, what's with this
Yep,
free parking?
Yeah. So boy, I'll tell you, I hope and pray that I'm totally wrong, and they're going to do it the way Lou Monda did it, or Ben Monda did it. But I doubt it.
So it's the Red Sox themselves.
Yeah. Now they haven't really come out and
Ownership
said
group?
who did. Yes, exactly. The ownership group. Some in Red Sox ownership group set to buy. So who's that? Is that
So John Henry has this Fenway Sports Group,
Exactly.
right? They own the soccer team in England or
my Liverpool team?
Liverpool team.
Yes.
Yeah, right. And
they're not
they own the
exactly-
Red Sox, so it's the kind of the next level corporate shell
Yeah, yeah.
above the teams.
Yeah. Now
So I guess it's probably them.
you know what? Maybe. What if they said to Tom Warner, Tom, why don't you buy that? You got plenty of money,
Yeah.
and why don't you kind of go down that way and amuse yourself down there or something? I don't think Tom adds a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, he's an entertainment guy.
Yeah.
You know,
Showbiz.
yeah, showbiz.
Yeah.
Exactly. Great
be
guy
sh-
to have around Nesson
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
It'd be a shame to have that happen to Pawtucket, though. I
know,
think
it really would be.
You know, to
I'd go back
change-
on the
to
booze.
change what's there, huh?
I'd go back on the booze.
Yeah.
I'd have to. Yeah.
Well, then it wouldn't be all bad.
Now, we have this to talk about. First base, Mike Napoli.
Yeah.
I like that.
He could go.
Yeah. Strikeout machine. Second base, Dustin Pedroia. You know, he's falling apart.
I know.
You know, awful lot of miles on him.
I mean-
if he was a pickup truck, I wouldn't care to drive him to California and back.
Plays hard, but I anticipate a bounce back.
Yeah, I do too. And
know.
he's still the Gold Glove.
Yeah.
Second baseman. Every time he doesn't even have to do anything. Just go out there in the field and he's the Gold Glover.
Right.
Nobody plays any harder than
And
him.
he's a leader.
Now, Xander Bogaerts is a work in progress.
Yeah, love him though. I love
Do you
him.
really?
Yeah.
Yep. Will Middlebrooks. I
He's
think
lost.
that Will is. He's gone out there into La La Land or
He's
something.
gonna be tacked on to a trade.
He's going to have to be. Although they love his swing
They do.
and they love
needs-
his power. Now he got up there for jump from Double A to the majors. That first year he came up, half a season and had 15 home runs.
Right.
And the ball was flying off his bat. I think that's before he met Cutie Pie.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, he has the potential to do that. I just don't think he's going to do it here. I think he's a classic change of scenery guy. He
I
needs
tell you,
to go
I
somewhere.
talked to him down at Pawtucket. He's the nicest young man in the world.
That's what I understand.
Yeah.
I hope it works out for him.
I
but,
did too. I told him that.
you know, someplace like Kansas City,
The Marlins.
the Marlins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, someplace that really could use a hitter.
Oakland.
No pressure. No pressure. Oh, well, Oakland, there's a little pressure out there.
Yeah.
I don't think Billy Bean would watch his act for too long.
Well, he'd eventually trade him again, but
Yeah. And then we get utility. Brock Holt. 281, 4 home runs, 29 runs batted in. He did everything we asked him and
He did.
more, but
he's a utility player.
you know what? There's remember the old glass ceiling there
Yeah.
that we've talked about? Yet I think he's right about there.
But a useful, cheap
Very
player.
useful. You know, every single toolbox needs a socket set or
Right.
something like that. He's a great tool to have.
Right. And maybe you got to force Pedroia to sit down a little bit
And
more.
that'll be impossible. You
And-
couldn't do
and
that if he went out there with a gun and
Get
forced
Brock
him
Holt
to do
to
it.
some
Yeah.
time at second base.
Or even more importantly, Mookie Betts at second
Yeah.
base, because that's his position.
Right.
And there's a kid I flat out love.
Sure.
What's not to love?
Beat you a lot of ways.
291, 5 home runs, a little pop in his bat, 18 runs batted in, and he can steal bases.
You can steal bases.
And by the way, hey Mookie, go play the outfield.
Yep.
And after about 3 games, when he got the idea of how the ball comes off the bat, he's playing like a major leaguer out there.
Yeah. Do you think he can be a leadoff hitter?
I think he could be. Yeah,
We need a leadoff hitter.
yeah.
He's
I
got the speed.
I really like the kid.
I do too.
Yeah. Cespedes, oh boy.
He won't be here. I'm convinced
What are we
he's.
going to do with Shane Victorino in that contract of his? Are we going to keep him around and hope it,
They're going to hope
someone
he.
sprinkles love dust on him too and he comes back
They're
to
going to
life?
hope he comes back. 2 years ago he was such an important
Oh, the
part of the
flying
team.
Hawaiian?
Yeah, and
listen, he...
his defense was just outstanding. Timely hitting.
Looked like he was the guy that made it happen in the club.
Spark plug.
Too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then we got Daniel Nava. We got, and here's a tragic case of Jackie Bradley Jr.
Yeah.
You
I
can
love the
argue,
kid.
You can argue the fact that he's a Gold Glove center
He
fielder.
is a Gold Glove center fielder. Yeah.
But boy, I'll tell you, 198, 1 home run and 30 ribbies. He's not going to
Yeah.
get too much chance to show that leather out there.
Yeah. I think he can develop though. He may have to go back to Pawtucket for a while, but his
No, that
defense,
wouldn't- that
he
wouldn't
has
be-
game-changing
That
defensive
would
skills.
not be the worst place in the world for him if he'd get down there with his head held high.
Right.
But if he's going to go down there and mope and say, I'm like the dog they just kicked out of the kitchen, well, that is going to be counterproductive.
He needs to go down there with the understanding that if he goes down and hits, he's coming back.
Yeah.
Because he's got game-changing defensive
He
skills.
He does. Either that or he's got to go to another organization and get a totally fresh start
Right.
where there's no pressure.
The Marlins.
It's the Marlins.
Houston?
Yeah, Houston, Kansas City. I mean, now they had a great year last year, but
Yep.
they still played a very docile crowds out there, and they tend not to be rabid fans.
Yeah.
And we got David Ortiz that hit 35 home runs and 104 RBIs and clogged up the base paths every time he got on them.
Yep. But he's a fixture.
He is, he's
And
a
we need
fixture.
that left-handed power.
Yep. Oh, he delivers.
He does
Yeah.
deliver.
Yep. I hope that he's had his year away from that injury and that he's going to be able to run a little bit better this coming year. Jeepers.
Yeah.
He didn't look good towards the end of the year. He was limping at first and just jogging.
Yeah, hopefully he's got a good masking agent.
Christian Vasquez as catcher, David Ross. I can't see them re-signing Ross, even though Ross wants to come here. And I think, however,
It could be
think
the icing for Lester.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
That if you say to Lester, we'll resign Ross. He's waiting in the wings.
He is.
That
Yeah.
could be the nudge.
It could. Those two guys.
They had a
His
rapport.
personal catcher. Yeah.
Now the good and the bad. I was not impressed with Alan Craig. The Alan Craig we got. The Alan Craig that used to play for St. Louis was quite a ball player.
Yeah, he sure was.
A clutch hitter. Do a lot of things for you. And not bad defensively.
Yeah.
Can play some first base, play
Yeah.
some outfield.
I think he's going to be traded.
I think
in one
so
of the
too.
pitching-
And you know
pitching
what?
deals.
We're going to get 20 cents on the dollar for him. That's the sad part.
Maybe. I mean, I think he needs to go back to the National League.
Yep. Yep.
And
Rusney Castillo.
yeah.
I
Gosh.
think he is going to be a center fielder.
In all likelihood, yeah.
I like his looks. The little we saw of him, and then I saw him 3 times down at Pawtucket. Swings a pretty good bat.
Does he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Defensive skills.
yeah.
Yeah.
Good arm, yeah. Not the arm that Cespedes has, but a good arm.
Well, yeah.
And then we've got guys like Brents and Cicchini, but they're they're gonna
They're gonna
play
another
a
year.
little bit down there more,
Yeah.
a little more down there.
At least going to start down there.
But the outfield,
Loaded.
Cespedes, Victorino, Castillo, Craig, Nava, Holt, Betts, Bradley Jr., Brents, Bogarts, and I even had Giancarlo Stanton out there.
Wishful
That's
thinking.
wishful
Yeah,
thinking.
yeah.
And I really think that Bogarts is going to end up in the outfield or at first base.
Could be. Yeah.
Yeah, because he's going to fill out to 6'3", 225. He's going to be a big boy.
Yeah.
They were saying his footwork is just not major league shortstop stuff.
I could see him going to third and Sandoval ending up at first.
It's going to have to be something
Some combination
like that.
of that.
Yeah. Yeah. So the Red Sox have got a bunch of moves to make,
they've got-
and we haven't helped them one bit with any
No,
of them.
but we've identified a lot of names here, I think, that are going to be not playing here next year because they're going to be traded in the next 2 weeks.
I think you may have something there.
Yeah.
Now listen, we got to give the Patriots a quick lick and a promise here.
Sure.
Great game versus the Packers. The only way I could have been happier is if they won, but I thought they played really well.
Yeah, they almost won. If Gronk
Yeah.
makes that catch in the end zone.
Well, there's a
is
couple
tough,
of
but-
other opportunities that went the wrong
Sure.
way too, and I think there was a couple of phantom calls too.
Yeah, a couple toughies.
That I just weren't. I mean, one of them was a defensive interference call. Two guys get tangled up. They could have gone the other way just as easily,
Right.
And I forget who the devil is.
The only issue I had was that I wasn't sure Green Bay had a punter until so late in the third quarter. We couldn't get him off the field between the 20s.
Yeah.
And that said, they got in the red zone, they shut him down and
Yeah.
made him kick field goals, which, is pretty good.
The Patriots are right there with the best teams in the league.
Absolutely.
You got Indy that scored 382 points. You got Green Bay 380. You've got the Pats at 378. 4 points.
After a slow start.
4 points separate the top three teams. And we beat Indy,
Right.
and we could have beat Green Bay. And you know what the difference between the Green Bay game was? One quarterback was mobile and one wasn't.
Yeah, he is a great quarterback.
Aaron
And he made some
Rodgers.
great throws.
Oh,
my gosh.
jeepers.
He made some great throws.
On the run.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I don't think there's anyone that throws as well on the run in the league as he does.
No.
Speaking of that,
As much as we love Brady, he is the best quarterback in the league right now, Rodgers.
Colin Kaepernick is definitely not.
Right.
I was listening to a lot of stuff about him being the best.
Not even close.
No. By the way, the Bruins, if you look at the differential, I don't want to jump ahead to them, but I got to get this in. If you look at the differential between goals scored and goals allowed,
Yeah.
Montreal is like 9 points ahead of the Bruins in the standing, 2 goals ahead of the Bruins. I think it's 80 to 78, and the Bruins are something like 65-65.
No kidding.
Yeah. So, it's driving me
How
crazy.
far apart are they really, right?
Yeah. But it seems as though
Timing.
the
It's when, it's not how many you score, it's when you score them, right?
exactly.
Yeah.
I think that the offensive line for the Patriots, not quite all stars yet, but I think
No.
they've performed very well.
Better. Certainly.
Yeah. When you consider that we traded Mankins, and you know what, that trade may not work out badly.
Right. Right. Looks good.
Yeah, and it'll
it's
enable
a
them to
fourth-round pick.
put Stork in the lineup, who's playing at center, is playing marvelously.
Right.
Yeah.
That'll be an early 4th-round pick, right? Tampa Bay's pick will be very early in the round. And you talk about Stork. Stork was a 4th-round pick.
He was. Yeah.
So There should be some value there.
I think that Gronkowski, LaFell, Edelman, and Wright have played well as
Yeah.
the receivers. The rest of them have been kind of missing in action. But those four, I really, I don't know
Doxson's
whether
on
to give them an
IR.
A or not, but close to an A for all of them.
Yeah,
The running backs,
by committee.
by committee, we miss Ridley.
Yes.
Because he ran in between the tackles. But we got Blunt now, and we found Gray. So, gee whiz, maybe things aren't that bad
No, there's some
after all.
depth. And
but you know
we
what?
got Vereen, who I
Yeah.
love Vereen coming out of the
I
backfield.
love Vereen, too.
Yeah.
I'd love to see him as a wide receiver.
Yeah, he has split out a few times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's got the moves. The defensive line is, what, serviceable? Can we say that?
Yeah.
Ninkovich, Will Fork. I think Chris Jones has played fairly well, and Alan Branch. Easley is obviously still bothered.
He's hurting, yeah.
Yeah, and I wish the hell he wasn't out there.
And
to
I
be
still,
honest
you
with
know,
you.
like we talked about last time, I still don't understand why Tommy Kelly's playing in Arizona.
Well, some real bad blood erupted between him and Belichick, I believe.
I guess, but
Yeah.
I always thought we could overlook that stuff.
What was that, too? Yeah. Okay. I couldn't see it. And the linebackers, I think, Jamie Collins, Dante Hightower, and these two new guys we got.
Yeah.
Ayers
yeah.
and Jonathan Casillas. You know what? They played well, and that Jamie Collins.
It looks terrific, doesn't he?
He's not too shabby.
Very
and
athletic.
The secondary, Rivas, McCourty, I think, has played well.
Sure.
And Brown is, I don't know.
He is what he is.
He is what he is.
I like Browner.
Yep.
He's going to give you a couple penalties a game.
Yep.
If you can live with that.
And I love the National Conference South, where the best record is 5-7.
Yeah, one of them's going to get in the playoffs.
Yeah. And the Jets are now 2-10.
What a shame.
Yeah, that's tough.
Heartbreaker.
Up arrows for Seattle.
Yeah.
Down arrows for San Francisco.
Yep.
And how much longer will San Francisco put up with Harbaugh?
I think he's gone
think he's
after
dead
this
meat?
year. Yep.
Yeah.
I think he goes back. I think he goes back to college.
You know, people are going to have to wait till next week to find out how we feel about the Ray Rice affair.
Ooh.
Tough stuff. And Ole Miss, 31-17, they beat Mississippi State with my boy Bo Wallace at the helm.
Yeah.
13 out of 30. He completed 13 out of 30. FSU, the Seminoles, they win, and Jameis Winston completes 12 out of 24 with 4 interceptions.
Right.
Go figure.
But
And
they
it's-
come back to win. I've been watching those games this year, waiting for them to
Yep.
lose, and they just
They
refuse to
refuse
lose.
Is there a worse color commentator in all of sports than Phil Simms?
He's right up there.
Man alive. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, I have the sad duty to tell you that our time is up. We've enjoyed being with you, and we look forward to coming back again in a couple, 3 weeks with more of this, because we didn't even get to the Bruins. So wish you a good night.